Welcome in, everyone. Today we're stepping into Aixin Goddess Love, a story-driven experience filled with emotion, fate, and divine choices. This is a journey about love, sacrifice, and the shape our destiny. Every choice matters, and every moment can shape, can change the path forward. Will our destination lead to hope and connection or heartbreak and loss? How far would you go for the love of a goddess? Let's uncover the story together. Okay, we're gonna be doing this in English. And then we're gonna be doing a new game. Okay, the rhythmically swaying cart smoothly stopped, and I descended to the ground, waving goodbye to the peasant who had given me a lift. I'm gonna try doing it on auto. Is it, okay. My muscles were stiff from the long ride, and my hand once again collapsed my bandage side. The war was almost over, but my injury was made impossible for me to remain on the battlefield. So I was sent home before it was over. I did everything I could. The sound of the leaving cart dissolved in the rustle of grass along the road, and the wind gently pushed me forward as I slowly walked through the field along the path that had become a symbol of my home. Rounding the hills, the path turned left and went down the sea, where a small coastal town was located. Finally, home. Five years ago, I walked here for the first time, tried losing consciousness, barely able to move my legs from the wounds I have received. Who were they? Bandits? Security for another aristocrat? I couldn't remember anymore. I'd seen too much in my entire life before. Those who hired me must have decided that I was dead. In a sense, it was true because I was reborn in this town. One of the locals noticed me and helped me get to the temple. At that time, they had just begun to build it on the side of a small sanctuary. I didn't care if I was gonna die. I would have accepted such an outcome without regrets, but fate in the form of this one, in whose honor people built this temple stone by stone, with such love, decided otherwise. The kind of radiant goddess of this place healed my wounds, both physical and those that heal with much greater difficulty. Her tranquil face on the day I saw her for the first time was forever imprinted in my memory. Surrounded by her care, I became a new person. I began to hear the peaceful murmur of water running under bridges along town walls, and the rustle of the wind shaking wind chimes on the roofs of houses, and the cries of birds circling over the pier. Okay. I think we got it now. To feel aroma of delicate flowers growing near a sanctuary, and the fresh, salty smell of the sea. To watch the always clear sky over the quiet harbors, fancy clouds, stars, and faces of the moon. When my body healed, I stayed in this town, helped complete the construction of the temple, and together with the other residents began to worship the goddess. I found joy in peaceful life, in everyday activities and worries in simple human existence. I mastered various crafts and helped whomever and however I could. I looked after the temple, prayed, and made offerings on holidays. All this was for her sake, for the sake of the prosperity of her temple, and all those she cared about. Home is where you feel good, where you are waited for and loved. I had a family. Oh, I had finally found it. Where I came from, where I was, and who I was, none of that mattered anymore. Here, I became myself. I came to love this place. I came to love her. Unlike most of the gods that I have ever seen or heard about, the goddess of this town often came out to people. She took on various forms. She was fluttering around in the form of a butterfly or basking in the sun of the ease of a cat. But more often, she appeared in the form of a beautiful young girl, fragile and tender, and her favorite name was Aixin. Once she appeared in the town, she illuminated it with her presence, giving the residents healing and peace, surrounding them with care and love. Truly, love was her very essence. She radiated it with, instilled in it, with the hearts of those who surrounded her. Aixin's love has healed the deepest of wounds. She was always somewhere nearby, from dawn until late at night. You could meet her on the streets of the town, playing with children and laughing loudly, whirling in a dance to someone's flute. Decorating a bride's hair with flowers, or keeping company with a lonely elderly woman whose lover has left this world. She was pure and spontaneous, like a child who has never seen evil. It was impossible to not fall in love with her, but no one dared to touch a wondrous creature. In my present, Aixin would always become very quiet. She would often sit silently on the steps of her temple, surrounded by falling petals, while I swept dry leaves nearby. When I looked up at her, gaze was always full of love and tenderness, and a soft smile blossomed on her lips, making me smile too. The idol of this town could not last forever, and the sparks of war that broke out on the west reached even this place. Then I took up the sword again, but not as a killer, as a defender. I could not allow the war to touch the place that had become my home. Although I continued to be an instrument, I felt that everything was different now. Now I had someone to protect, someone to worry about, and my actions were justified. I convinced myself of this, driving away heavy thoughts, and she was also saving me from them. Her gaze cleared the mind and calmed the heart. I just had to close my eyes for a moment and remember her sweet features. Soon I would see them again. The sun was setting on the horizon behind me as a view of the town appeared over the hill. There were lights down there. Usually at this time, people sang, gathering groups to support each other while waiting for news from the front and the ward off the pier. Their songs were cheerful and encouraging, although they were sad notes of the voices of the singers. But there were no songs now. The distant rings of wind chimes disturbed by the sea breeze, resonated against the utter silence, as if there was not a single living soul in this town. I returned earlier than I was supposed to, so I didn't expect anyone to meet me, but the ringing silence was not what I expected. Has the war really come, even here? Holding my breath, I crossed the wooden bridge leading into town and walked through the arch. My heart was pounding in my temples. My hand fell on the hilt of the sword and froze, ready at the first need to snatch it from the sheath. Slashing my enemies, my anxious thoughts rushing through my head. But the streets plunged into silence, were empty as if it were deep night. The light poured from the windows of houses here and there. Lanterns were burning along the street, on the water, some of which had gone out. But the silence of the empty streets was broken only by the sound of my steps and quiet, intermittent breathing. There were no signs of battle or presence of enemies. There were no signs of anyone's presence. I peered into painfully familiar bridges and canals in the hope of noticing movement. Listened to the sound of waves crashing against the walls of houses, trying to hear laughter, singing, or snatches of the conversation. Everything around was so familiar and dear to my heart, and the inexplicable silence that fell on my home was all the more frightening. The lives of moving, sonorous town seemed to have frozen and fallen into sleep. Perhaps someone died and the town is mourning? Where were all the people? What is going on here? The door of the house closest to me was ajar. I decided to go inside, knocking softly. A young couple lived here, husband and wife. I knew them. This man and I laid the rooftop temple together, while his wife weaved plants around the walls and the torii. They were lying together on the floor near a mat, completely dressed as if they had decided to lie down for a while, but were so tired that they could not find the strength to walk to the bed. What if they are... No, this cannot be. Having driven away bad thoughts, I came closer and noticed breathing with relief. They both seemed to have passed out or were sleeping very soundly. Their faces were calm and peaceful. Their breath was deep and even. Not daring to disturb their peace without understanding the situation, I went out and moved deeper into the town, checking a few more houses along the way. The doors were not locked. People seemed to have suddenly decided to take a nap, abandoning all of their activities. Some were sleeping, having reached their bed or a bench, others right on the floor. I also found several people outside. They were sitting, leaning on the canal fence. People slept, cuddled together, or alone with babies in their arms. Even children who usually played late into the night and were so reluctant to go to bed were sleeping. I tried to rouse several people, but their sleep was sound, as if under a spell. No matter what I did, no one woke up from the strange stupor or even moved. Townspeople slept soundly, uninterruptedly. Every single one of them. What is going on here? I looked around in puzzlement, judging by the state of candles burning in the houses and the number of lanterns that had gone out. I was trying to understand how much time people had spent in this terrible sleep when suddenly I noticed a barely perceptible fog in the air, shrouding everything. It spread along the streets and across the water, condensing towards the town center, making a temple almost indistinguishable. I felt like I was pierced by an ice arrow. Forgetting about my wound, I ran as fast as I could. The always burning lights of the temple were extinguished, and it was plunged into darkness. Fallen petals of the flowers that framed the entrance covered the steps. A sharp gust of wind carried them away, and the wind chimes made a shrill ringing as I flew up the steps and opened the doors of the temple. It was dark and cool inside. The light of the moon rising in the sky illuminated a small area on the cold stone floor. Aixin was there, sitting there, in complete darkness and solitude. I rushed towards her but stopped, short, and dropped on one knee, not daring to get too close. Lady! Aixin. My heart was pounding wildly with joy that she was here, alive and conscious, and with worry if she was okay. She flinched when I approached her and turned her head, but I could not see her face. Lady Aixin, what happened? The goddess hesitated to answer, lowering her eyes, and then, as if with difficulty, she looked up at me with the expression which I saw for the first time and wished I never had seen, full of despair and fear. I extended my hand to her and stopped myself again when I saw how she shrank. She's afraid of me, but why? What happened here, lady? Why is everybody sleeping? What is going on? Has someone invaded us? Are you injured? Please tell me. How can I help? Aixin slowly shook her head, biting her lip nervously. She whispered something unintelligible, and I leaned towards her to hear when suddenly, don't come near me. She shrank and turned away, returning her gaze to the floor. At her words, I recoiled and froze, not taking my eyes off the fragile, now translucent figure, deathly white in the cold light of the moon. The goddess never pushed anyone away. In her presence, I always felt light and calm, as if all my problems turned into dust at once. But now the aura that surrounded her fell heavenly on my shoulders. The cold in the temple was penetrating in the bones, and unimaginably she sat on the icy floor, completely chilled, but this cold seemed to be coming from herself. Everything around seemed to have died. Even the wind fell silent. I did it. What? They're all sleeping because of me. There was a ringing silence in the air. I was confused. I didn't know what to say. Did she put the townspeople to sleep? But why? She wouldn't harm the residents willingly, so there had to be a reason that she pushed her. There had to be a reason that pushed her to make everybody fall asleep. What happened here during my absence? Lady? Last night I felt something terrible happen to my sister. We are connected, you know. Although I do not have the gift of vision, I immediately understood. I felt it. The words were not easy for Aixin. Her voice was broken and trembling. She could hardly hold back her tears. The man who was in love with her, he. Aixin took a deep breath, closed her eyes, gathering the strength to continue. It was painful for her to speak, and I was afraid to hear what had brought her into such a state. But I listened to her words, trying to figure out as quickly as possible. The man who was in love? Aixin must have been talking about our general. Her sister, the seer goddess, accompanied our army, using her gift to help us resist our enemies, instilling in us courage and determination. When she's standing behind the general, giving a speech to us, looked at him with admiration, none of us had any doubts about victory. Many guessed that the general and the seer were connected by something more than unity in the face of the enemy. The goddess guided him, foreseeing the outcome of battles, and endowed him with the strength to implement his plan. Infinite trust reigned between them, and he always relied on what the goddess was told by her foreseeing heart. Our victory was predetermined. There were only a few weeks left until the end of the war, when suddenly there was discord between the general and the seer. She didn't show up to the last meeting. No one knew what happened. There was a rumor that she did not support the plans the general was making. The enemy's spear made it impossible for me to know how it all ended. Aixin's voice sounded quiet, bitter, and angry. He cut the heart out of her chest. I was stunned. The general? But is it? I didn't know it was possible either. He didn't too. He just did it when my sister decided to leave him. She cannot die, but she is no more. There's only a spirit without a heart, full of despair, fear, and pain. And I feel this pain. I couldn't believe what I just heard. To raise a hand against the deity? To cut out the heart? What must be going on in a person's head to do this? He loved her, didn't he? Another person's soul is a closed book. I'm glad you came back early. At least I was able to look at your face one more time before you learn the gods are not inaccessible as they seem. What are you talking about, lady? I don't understand. If the love of my seer sister turned out to be so blind that she didn't foresee the betrayal, then what can we say about me? What? I still don't understand, Lady Aixin. What if someone rips out my heart too? Aixin looked at me helplessly as the puzzle shaped in my mind. You don't think that any of the residents are capable of this, do you? I don't even know if you are capable of this. I don't know anything anymore. People, what up? Story time! And it's getting juicy. We got some betrayal going on. We have some drama going on. mamas. How are you doing this Saturday mornings? I hope you have a great weekend. What are you? Aixin covered her face with her hand and cried silently. My heart was beating so fast as if it was ready to burst out of my chest. Aixin's words were like a stab to the heart. I would never do that to you, lady. I would kill anyone who dared to raise a hand against you, even myself. The goddess was silent, still covering her face with her hand. Does she see everyone as traitors now because of the general's atrocities? Words were not an art I mastered. I could hardly influence anyone or anything through them in this life, but now I had to convince her that she should not be afraid of those who were drowned in this terrible, endless sleep. Sleepy time. How's it going? It's going well. Enjoying the story so far. Time to get your work done for the weekend. Let's go. In a little while. I hope your workday goes nice and smooth. None of us would ever harm you, Lady Aixin. I swear. You are a light in the darkness. There is no one who doesn't care about you. We love you, cherish you, appreciate you. You can trust us all. And what if my sister's lover spoke these same words to her? Sounds a little sussy. He also swore his love to her, convinced her that he would be trusted, that he would protect her, and he'd never betray her. The people of this town are not like him, and I am not like him. My sister also thought that he was not like others. She believed him. She was blind. Other people's hearts are like an open book to her, so why didn't she see it coming? Faith and pure feelings will destroy me too. Don't say that. It won't happen. I won't let it happen, believe me. What happened to your sister is monstrous. There's no justification for it. It shouldn't have happened. And whoever did this deserves death. But these people, they have been sleeping for over 24 hours. There are children amongst them. I beg you, remove this spell. None of the residents will harm you. Such intentions was never in their thoughts. You're right. It is really so. As long as I'm here to give love to everyone. But what if I wanted to leave? If I had a reason? Or if I said the name of someone who is especially dear to me, as if I were a person, a human girl, ready to give my heart to only one. How many of them will allow this to happen? How many will continue to love me without asking for anything in return? Taking a deep breath, I was about to convince her again of the opposite, that she had nothing to fear, that people wished her happiness no matter what, and would accept any of her choices. But I stopped short, immersed in my thoughts. What's the point of convincing someone of something you don't believe in yourself? Aixin's doubts were not groundless or exaggerated by what happened to her sister. It is natural for people to want those they love to be with them, and it is natural for them to fear more than anything else that their love will leave them. Many men, boys, and even girls of our town would be happy if Aixin became their life partner. And they would be in despair if her choice did not fall on them. And if she suddenly decided to leave, no one would let her go easily. Another question was how far would they be willing to go, and what to step over in order to keep her. It was unlikely that any of the townspeople seriously thought about the possibility of becoming the goddess's lover. Despite her appearance, every time she approached them, no one had any doubt that they were looking at a deity. Trepidation prevented them from touching her. How did it even occur to anyone that it might be possible? For the general, nothing was ever impossible, including what he did to the seer. Soon everyone would know about this. And then? What about you? What? Would you stop me if I decided to leave? Or if I fell in love with another man? I was waiting for this question, and I could not lie to her, saying that I would accept her decision without objection. I head, but looked away. At the thought that she would leave, fear pierced me, the one I had not expected, even on the battlefield. Losing someone so valuable, to whom the meaning of my entire existence relied, was much worse than death just at the thought of it, and almost made me jump from my knees to hold on to her. Aixin smiled bitterly and then looked at me questioningly. I don't understand. What's the point of keeping someone close to you if it only brings them suffering? Is it possible to force someone to love against their will? Picking a flower, knowing that it will wither, or cutting out a lover's heart from her chest. It wasn't love. If the general loved your sister, he would have never hurt her if he truly loved her. Or there was something that became more important to him than his feelings for her, if they ever existed at all. I didn't know him closely, but I don't think that given the choice between the seer and his ambition, he would choose first. He was ready to do anything for the sake of his goals. To achieve them, he needed a heart that predicts the future. Even if everything is as you say, it still feels like love. Like an obsession, desire to possess. Love has nothing to do with possession. It pushes people to do monstrous, crazy, scary things. Such a wonderful feeling. I always believed that love can dispel any darkness. I came to this town dreaming of creating a paradise, an abode of love, where everything would be saturated with it. I thought maybe there just isn't enough of it in this world. But it's not about quantity. It's about human essence, which never changes. People have distorted this beautiful feeling, raised their hand, even against the gods. Love does not dispel the darkness in their hearts. It creates it. Turns lovers into monsters and the loved ones into victims. How stupid it was not to notice all this. Enough. If this is the case, I don't want to be loved. Outside, the wind rose again, and the ringing sound cut the silence between us. Everything turned upside down inside me. Hearing such words from Aixin was so scary, unbearable, almost physically painful. The world she created was crumbling. My world. And I couldn't do anything, couldn't help in any way, because I was one of those whom she was now afraid of. Though whose fault everything she believed in was shaken. Was this really the end? Had we really passed the point of no return and nothing could be fixed or returned to the way it was before? Only at that moment I noticed the wound on my side had opened. If only I could do something to erase from the face of this earth all the cruelty and the darkness that was causing Aixin such pain. I would give my life for that. What was it worth if I was not able to protect what was dear to me? However, my death would not solve anything. I was powerless against the truth of this world, just like Aixin. We are all imprisoned here. We can't hide forever. Turn a blind eye to the truth. And yet, I remembered again how I came here for the first time. Everything that Aixin discovered now, I had known for a long time before I met her, since childhood. But when her love illuminated my life, I realized I was wrong about everything. She changed me, healed my pain and anger, and now she herself needed help. Could I give her at least something? Help her find meaning again, as she once helped me, if I spoke on behalf of the traitors of her faith and pure feeling? Or maybe that's precisely why I could. It hurts me to hear such words from you, lady. Don't say that, please. And please listen to me. Much of what you said is true. Very often love makes people do terrible things. It confuses all other feelings. It brings out everything that is in a person. And it's not always something good, just as what people call love is not always what it seems. Which was the case with your sister and the general. Lust, a thirst for control and power, are often hidden under this mask. But when we are truly in love, we tend to want the one we love to love us back and never leave us. Sometimes so much so that our whole life, all desires and aspirations become tied to one single person. The fear of losing this person gives rise to a variety of feelings. Anger and envy appear. The desire to tie them to yourself at any cost, even by force. I've seen this so many times. I used to think that this was love, this painful obsession. Maybe people crave mutual love so passionately because they really lack it in their difficult life, full of hardships and adversary. However, it seems to me that love is the solution to this problem. I want to say, deep down, everyone needs it. And maybe there really isn't enough of it in the world. That's why people want it so much. But when they finally find it, love does extraordinary things. It is only one thing that can dispel the darkness, as you said. You weren't mistaken at all this time. It's just everything is more complicated. My words seemed jumbled to me. I was worried and I didn't know how to describe what I was feeling. I didn't know if it made any sense at all because I was talking mostly about myself. I could not speak on behalf of all humanity. All I had was my own feelings. I had never spoken to anybody about this topic. I was not used to sharing my experiences. I kept everything to myself and could not imagine that I would ever discuss such things with the goddess in this way. But I felt that I had to say this, confess to her. All this time, my eyes were straying, but now I looked up at Aixin, looking straight into her eyes, honestly and openly. She listened very attentively. I won't bother you with stories about my past. Just know that my life was joyless, full of contempt, hatred, and anger towards others and myself. There was no point in it, just survival and unleashing everything I felt on others. When I was wounded, I headed towards this town. I don't know why. I guess they call it fate. Death seemed like a relief to me. I never brought anything good to anybody in my life, only sorrow and pain. But when I entered this temple, I felt your love and acceptance. For some reason, you saved me then. A murderer who took people's lives for money. You saw something in my heart. If you saved me, didn't you? What do you see in it now? Now, I can't see anything. I was so naive back then, kind to everyone without exception. No, it was not naivety. You've seen people's souls, and I know it better than me. You have never been blind in your kindness. At that time, I saw that you were kind. I saw it in the depths of your soul, behind everything that filled you at the moment. You were a resilient, brave person, capable of caring and pure, sincere love. You were not mistaken, lady. Haven't recent years proven that you were right? But you still were not able to tell me that you would let me go. You needed love so much, and I was glad to give it to you, like everyone else in this town. But does it mean that I've become its hostage? And I am vulnerable until I belong entirely to those whom I give it? Is there such a love when a person truly thinks about the goods of the beloved, whatever it may be? It's so hard for me to believe this. And yet, I hope that I was right in believing that such love exists. Scared of losing this faith. Please tell me again, and answer honestly. Would you really leave me if I asked? If you knew that I really needed this and it would be better this way. I balled my hands into my fists. Why is she asking this question? Does she really want to leave? My heart began to beat very quickly again. Unable to bear Aixin's gaze, I closed my eyes, trying to calm the storm of feeling. I couldn't say yes because deep down I doubted it. Despite everything I had just told her. What if she really left? Disappeared? What if she found happiness with another person, not me? What if I never saw her again? Happiness in the past she was choosing. Peace if I started that. I truly loved her and wished her well. Why wasn't this happening? Did this mean that I was lying to myself? But I had to be honest with her. Taking a deep breath, I looked up at Aixin again. It is not easy for me to answer this question, lady. But I won't lie that the thought of you leaving doesn't terrify me. It's like losing the meaning of life again, losing the most valuable thing in it that all my thoughts and desires boil down to. I live for you, and if I lose you, I will lose everything. But at the same time, all I want is your happiness. And if you are unhappy, there will be no meaning in my life. It brings me joy to just look at you, to know that you are somewhere nearby, safe, and your life is filled with all possible blessings. The last thing in this world I would like for you to suffer. And if you are unhappy living with me, with all of us, then I don't dare you to force you to stay. Although I hope that you are not serious about leaving. Aixin was silent for a while. I tried to understand from her facial expressions what she was thinking. She was upset by what I said. Did she feel better? I couldn't tell. I put all the residents of the town to sleep in fear that one of them might harm me. What happened to my sister scared me so much that I expected a blow from everybody. I didn't even dare to leave the temple and made sure everyone fell asleep. Everyone. Except you. I was afraid that you might act like this man. There was the same darkness in you. And that in every other person. And the warmth, the trust, and safety that I felt next to you was just a mirage. These thoughts were the worst. And at the same time, the belief that could not be true remains my last hope. It was stronger than fear. You have always been special to me. Only you could help me, convince me, calm me down. And I was just waiting, not sure for what exactly, because you might not have returned. And the war was not over yet. It was so stupid. But you are here. You came to me almost immediately. As soon as I mentally called you when I needed you the most. As if you felt it. Perhaps this is really fate? Will it really treat me as cruelly as my sister if I decide? I was silent, waiting for Aixin to finish saying what I at least wanted to hear. Her words about me At any other moment, I would have been if she uttered them. I could not have dreamed of such a thing. But now my mind was clouded by anxiety. I tensed up, held my breath. She looked at me, not daring to continue, and my voice was the first cut through the silence. You're not gonna leave us, are you? Aixin lowered her gaze. What you said earlier calmed me down, and at some point almost restored my former faith. Although doubts remain in my heart and pain for my sister drowns out all those feelings. But I still understand that I was mistaken in many ways, and I was wrong. What I have done to the people of this town who loved, appreciated, and trusted me is wrong. This is a mistake. I was stupid, and I put their lives in danger. I repaid their kindness with doubts and mistrust. I turned the ability to give them sound, restorative sleep into evil. The feeling of guilt towards them will never go away, and neither will the fear. Even if they don't find out everything has changed, I have changed. Everything will also change in the world after my sister's death. I feel it. I will no longer be able to look at the world and each of its inhabitants as before without fear. And they won't look at me the same way, even if they remain ignorant. And you won't. No, lady, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you did. Don't say that. You do care about others. Yes, but nothing bad happened. Too little time has passed. There is nothing to worry about. You are not to blame for anything. And if it's a matter of fears, then leave it to me. I will protect you from anyone who dares to harm you. It's not just that. Understand, even under your protection, I don't want to live under the pressure of fear, torment, by pangs of conscience because of it. Seeing a threat in everyday gesture and reapproaching him for myself for it. You all deserve unconditional love, not this. I didn't come here to be afraid and doubtful. This is unbearable. I can no longer give you what you made my life meaningful. And without this, it will only get worse if I stay. For all of you. No, that is not true. I am so sorry. Please forgive me. I hope the others will forgive me too, but I have to do it. I really have to. Please understand. This will be better for everyone, including myself. No, it won't. You're wrong. Don't do this, lady. How will we ever live without you? Tears flowed down Aixin's cheeks. My words seemed to cause her physical pain, but I saw that she did not hesitate. The thought of separation hurts me too. But don't ask me to stay, you understand everything. No, lady, change your mind. Forgive me. Light as a bird's feather, Aixin flew off through the floor before I even realized that it was all over. In an instant, I lost sight of her, only out of the corner of my eye catching sight of translucent trains of clothes. Another moment, and she was already at the doors of the temple trying to quickly fly out. I jumped to my feet. 1,000 thoughts managed to flash through my head. In those seconds, 100 emotions desperate, bitter, angry. I turned around sharply, looking at Aixin's fleeing silhouette. And we hold her or let her go? Oh my god! Hold on a second, chat. Okay, so I think we're gonna let her go. We're letting her go, chat. Sometimes that's what you gotta do. It's the most difficult decision. Frozen place. Through sheer willpower, I restrained myself as not to rush after her, not to hold her against her will, forcing her to stay. I didn't lie to her when I would have let her go if she asked. She didn't deserve such betrayal. Taking one last look at her, I turned away as so not to see her leave. Everything in my chest felt torn. The awareness of loss was becoming more and more painful with every second. Would this wound heal again? Or would it torment me until death, like the phantom pains of those who lost their arms or legs? I lost something more important than my limbs. And yet, so be it, as long as she was happy. I didn't know how long I would have stood there, devastated, if not for a rustling sound coming from behind, a warm touch on my palm. I turned around. Aixin stood next to me. Her gaze expressed surprise and some confusion, but there was something else in it. Painfully familiar and pure. Love and warmth, just like before when nothing had happened. When we all had lived in a little heavenly world that she created for us. But now her gaze was more mature, and I read gratitude in the depths of her eyes. From her touch, the nagging pain in my chest instantly subsided, and it became easier to breathe. You really let me go? I looked into her eyes as if spellbound and could not move. All doubts disappeared at once and realized that I had done everything right. You are free, lady. I won't stop you. You alone know what will be best for you. And if your heart tells you to leave, then I hope that even if far from here, you'll find the desired peace. Heal the wound from the loss of your sister and be joyful as before. That is all I want. Sadness flashed into the depth of the goddess's eyes. I am sorry for doubting you and causing your pain. I am sorry. You said that you live for me and my happiness, and with my departure, your life will lose meaning. That is not true. I know that I will be happy if you are happy. Everything you have done in recent years is still full of meaning. Live, my dear. Love and be loved. See joy in small things as you can. May your life be filled with all possible blessings, and I will be nearby invisibly. And if you need me, call me and I will come. Aixin stood up on her tiptoes and held her lips, touched my cheek. From surprise, I completely lost the ability to move. Indescribable, all-encompassing love filled the space between us and covered me entirely. My love will always be with you. I closed my eyes, and when I opened them again, Aixin was already gone. The white butterfly, having made a circle above me, flew me out the temple and rushed toward me. There was no more tightness in my chest. Only a light saddened remained. The fog cleared. I heard the residents began to wake up. The town came to life again. I no longer felt empty, and the wound on my side did not hurt, as if it did, as if it had never been there. My heart was at peace. And there you have it, chat. If you enjoyed emotional storytelling, visual novels, and meaningful choices, make sure to like the stream, follow or subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future story playthroughs. Following is free and helps support me as a full-time content creator. Jump into chat and share your thoughts. Your perspectives matter here. That was Aixin's Goddess Love. Beautiful, emotional, and deeply thought-provoking. Thank you all for experiencing this story with me. If you enjoyed the stream, be sure to check out more narrative story-based focus games on the channel. And I'll see you in the next chapter. Until then, may love guide your path.